This story is sickening. This is Wadea Al-Fumi, a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy from outside Chicago. Authorities say that on Saturday morning, Wadea and his 32-year-old mother were at their home when their 71-year-old landlord, Joseph Suba, came to the door. That's when the unthinkable happened. Media report that Suba took out a knife and stabbed Wadea 26 times and his mother at least 12 times, while saying, quote, "You Muslims must die." Wadea's mother escaped to call 911, but it was too late for Wadea. He died just a few weeks after his 6th birthday. Critics say this is a predictable result of the violent rhetoric being used by Israeli and American officials. Just days after Hamas's brutal terrorist attack, Israel's defense minister called them human animals, while leading Republican Senator Lindsey Graham had this to say on Fox News earlier this week.
We're in a religious war here. I am with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do to defend yourself. Level the place.
There's also been a stunning rise in hate crimes against Jewish people in America over the past several years, especially after Donald Trump's refusal to condemn neo-Nazi hate groups and militias, instead aligning with them for their help in his failed coup attempt on January 6, 2021. Suba has been charged with murder and a hate crime.
Man, this is crazy just for the simple fact. This old ass dude gonna do that to them people for no apparent reason. Now, this is a hate crime, to be honest, but for no apparent reason. He did something this stupid. Now, I don't understand why people got to be so ignorant for it and believe that they have that option of choosing someone's life like they high power or something like that. You know what I'm saying? My condolences goes to that family. That little boy didn't even get to start to see what life was about. Didn't even get to explore being a kid. Didn't even get to explore being a teenager, let alone a young adult. So, man, that's crazy.
By the time I got to the next house, my brother had apparently come down the steps. He was outside. And all my life, I've heard him screaming after me, "Angie, you promised you wouldn't leave me. You promised you wouldn't leave me." But I did.
If you are dating or married, the story I want to tell you today will have you sleeping with one eye open. In 2004, Charlie Brandt was a normal guy, married to his...
So we about to get into a disturbing story of a guy named Charlie Bandit. Some of the details, man, we about to hear about here is very disturbing. So I know a coworker was telling me about this, so I'm finally about to check it out and see who this guy is.
Loving wife Terry living in the Florida Keys. Terry and Charlie had a great marriage. They had been married for 18 years and they loved each other so much that they would make each other's lunches every day before work. All of their neighbors wanted what they had, but just underneath the surface was a darkness that no one was expecting. In September of 2004, Hurricane Ivan was about to rip into the Florida Keys and everyone was told to evacuate. So Charlie boarded up his home and they left. They were going to drive and go stay with Terry's niece Michelle near Orlando, but Charlie and Terry ended up fighting a lot on this trip, which their family understood and just brushed it off as being super stressed about the hurricane. So Charlie was really looking forward to going home the next day when he did something unexpected. Charlie absolutely demanded that he and Terry stay one more night. Michelle was fine with this, so Charlie and Terry spent one more night, and it was the worst mistake she could have ever made. Michelle and her mom Mary Lou talk every single day, so when on the next day, Mary Lou hadn't heard from Michelle, she starts to worry. But Mary Lou tries to stay calm because Michelle is an adult, and so she waits one day and then two, and when on the third day she still hasn't heard from Michelle, she goes into full-on panic mode. Mary Lou asks her good friend Debbie to go over and check on Michelle's house.
So this right here already don't sound good, you know. Haven't heard from her folks in 1, 2, 3 days, send somebody over there. And man, they about to probably witness something crazy.
And when Debbie pulls into the driveway, everything seems perfectly normal. All the cars are in the driveway and the house is completely quiet. But this actually concerns Debbie because she knew Michelle wasn't calling her mom back. So she goes to the front door and knocks, but no one comes to the door, and there isn't even a sound that she can hear in the house at all. So she keeps knocking until she starts to panic. And Debbie actually has a spare key to the house, but when she tries putting the key in the lock, she's panicking and shaking so much that she can't get it to work. So Debbie starts walking around the house calling out for Michelle, and when she gets to the glass door of Michelle's garage, she sees something she'll never forget. Debbie sees Charlie hanging from the roof in the garage from a bedsheet. Debbie immediately calls police at this point. It ended up being a good thing that Debbie couldn't get into the house because what police find rocks even the most seasoned detectives to their core. What police find first is Terry slumped over on the couch with 7 stab wounds to her chest. When they continue to clear the house, they go into Michelle's master bedroom, and the scene was so horrific that officers had to run out of the house to throw up. Michelle's body was placed on her bed. She had been stabbed in the chest, but after she was deceased, she had been decapitated and her head was placed next to her body. Michelle had been mutilated in every way imaginable, and her room was covered in her Victoria's Secret underwear and bras. Police theorized that Charlie killed Michelle and Terry and then hung himself. All of Charlie's friends and family had no idea how he could do this, but what police uncover about Charlie changed them forever. Police started asking questions, the first of which was if Charlie had ever been in trouble with the law, and from what they could find, he had never been arrested. He barely even had a speeding ticket. But Charlie's older sister Angela had a different story to tell. What Angela ends up telling police is shocking, and what she tells them is that Charlie has murdered before. But police look at the records again, and they're completely clean. And Angela is like, no, his murder record is sealed because he was a minor. He was only 13.
Oh shit. So she was like, hold on, that little motherfucker got some issues, man. They like, what are you talking about? He a squeaky clean guy. Oh no, his record's sealed. You gotta look deep into him. And to this little 13-year-old who you think is a sweet, innocent boy, you gotta look deep, she said. So we about to look deep.
In 1971, Charlie was living with his sister Angela, his 2 younger sisters, his father, and his pregnant mother. The Brants
What the heck? I don't have a shipment from UPS. Good.
were a super normal family, and Charlie was a perfectly normal kid who did well in school. But what happened on January 3rd, 1971 shocked everyone. The family had been up watching TV that night, and when it was time to get ready for bed, Angela went upstairs to read, and Charlie's mom and dad were in the bathroom getting ready for bed as well. Charlie's mom decided that she was going to take a bath, and Charlie's dad was over the bathroom sink when he sees Charlie coming into the bathroom out of the corner of his eye. And his next words were, "Charlie, don't. Charlie, stop." Charlie was only 13 years old when he held a gun and fired once into his dad's back, and then went over to the bathtub, stood over his pregnant mother, and pulled the trigger 5 times. Charlie's dad ended up surviving the attack, but Charlie's mom and unborn child didn't have a chance. They both died in the bathtub that night.
And I get up, and as I'm getting up, he comes into my room. Charlie. Brandishing the gun, a gun. I didn't even realize what it really was. I mean, until he aimed it at me.
Eventually, Angela and the rest of Charlie's family forgave him. Angela had one other thing to tell police, and it was that Charlie always called his niece Michelle Victoria's Secret, which is the same brand of underwear and bras that he threw around Michelle's room. After this, police started to connect Charlie to other murders. Darlene Toller in Miami was found wrapped in a tarp off the highway, and when they unwrapped her, they found her head and her heart were missing, and to my knowledge, they never found them. They also connected Charlie to the murders of his best friend, Jim, and Sherry Pariso. Sherry was found decapitated with her heart no longer in her body underneath a bridge back in 1989. When Charlie's mental health records were released, it helped shed some light on why Charlie committed these crimes. They said Charlie's mother was constantly nagging him, and that Charlie's father grew up in a certain regime in Germany that was overly strict. But this doesn't exactly spell out to police why Charlie did the things that he did. In the wake of Charlie Brandt's brutal crimes, the families of the victims were left to pick up the pieces and try to make sense of all the violence. They are a testament to the strength and resiliency of the human spirit in the face of unspeakable tragedy.
That was quite disturbing. Heads and hearts missing. And there's one thing that we learn from these type of people, that they grew up in the most disturbing, messed up homes. So they think the shit's normal, and it mentally put them in a state where they do stuff like this. So maybe if he was brought up in a better home, he wouldn't be this type of guy. But unfortunately, that wasn't his, timeline. And he was dealt with a different deck of cards. So that is very disturbing and sad that these people, these women, these souls, these beautiful people and souls have to be in the cross of someone who grew up very, messed up, where it turned them into who they, was. So this is why I always tell people, be a good person, because you never know what somebody could be going through. So practice being nice.